Good morning. Another Saturday morning. Here we are on the good old East Coast of the USA. We got our first comments in already. From I Know Buddy over there on the X platform. Cirina's going to be on in a little bit. She says, good morning, Richard and Cirina. And good morning from Jamaica. Absolutely, some of our usual friends. We got a lot of people watching already. And we are successfully streaming 2 different feeds on YouTube. 2 different feeds on YouTube. And there's a vertical and a horizontal. And if you're on the vertical, in the title, it says vertical. So now you know. And in the description, it says... in the description, it has a horizontal feed in case you don't want to be it. Now, what's interesting is I can see in the comments which feed you're on. I can see they have an iPhone if you're in the vertical feed, and then a MacBook Pro if you're in the horizontal feed. Good morning, our friend Michael Wright. Here's a picture of a good old Homer. And on the Twitch platform, Broccoli in Space, one of our viewers over there on the Twitch platform. Let me see how many we have over there. Everybody is live, including Instagram, which I don't have any followers over there, but it just figured I'd put it up anyway. Streaming, and we got everything's going good. Everything's going good. The weird thing about Instagram is I have to Ecamm does everything automatically once you allow them to have access to your Instagram account, not Instagram, to your YouTube account, Facebook account, Twitch account, X account. Ecamm does it automatically, sets everything up, blah, blah, blah. Instagram, I have to open up a page, a live page, and once Ecamm gets the feed to Instagram, I have to then go live on the Instagram page. iPad and Apple TV horizontal greetings from Netherlands. You're watching on both feeds. See, this is people that aren't quite used to my feed. What are we talking about here? It's talking about Final Cut Pro, technology, all kinds of stuff like that. So if you're into video production, she says, okay. And I can tell on my end, it shows she's on the vertical YouTube feed. On your end, it doesn't show that. But we have somewhat of a different audience on the vertical YouTube feed. So we're going to talk about all kinds of things today, as usual, but mostly video production, tech gear, and stuff like that. Got a lot of people watching live, of course. Cirina Catania is going to be on in a little bit, so you have to stay tuned for that. We already did it. We did a test feed earlier. Good morning from Quebec, Canada, of course. There's our friend. Thank you, she says. Absolutely. Please tell me some news. So let me, we're going to get to some news in a minute. Leanna, H9, tell me where you're from. I'm just curious. Since you're new to the channel, I'm just curious where you're from. And while you're watching, don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell while you're there. Absolutely. So please tell me some news. Some news, well, there's a couple of things. There's a couple of interesting things going on in the world of tech. She says she's from the United States. Very cool. That's where a lot of our audience is from, the United States. So that's very good. So, NAB is over. If anybody was interested in that. I don't think much my audience, did anybody from my audience go to NAB? I don't think anybody went to NAB. I know some people that did go there. NAB, I've been there many, many times. As a matter of fact, that's where Cirina and I met. Years and years ago, 9 years ago, we met at NAB. So let me just check on, see who's... Yep, there's Lucy sleeping on her, this is the cat room. She's sleeping on her futon. Sleeping on her futon. The other cat, Amanda Jones, is not, she left right when the stream started. So Lucy's sitting in the front window where the sun comes in, of course. Sitting in the front window. So... Okay, so let's get on to any news that's going on. There's a couple of things. Let's go here. Jeff O'Brien went to NAB on for 2 days, did some work with Sony and Tilda. She says, so cute. Lucy is so cute. So what did you think about NAB, Jeff? Did you I don't think you saw anything related to Final Cut Pro there. I don't think anybody did. NAB has not been a Final Cut Pro event for years and years and years, since pre-pandemic. The last time there was any Final Cut Pro presence at NAB was 2019. So that was the year before the pandemic. And that's the Apple was on the Faster Together stage, officially on the Faster Together stage. So, but regardless, in this day and age, we don't expect Final Cut Pro to be a presence at NAB or any news at NAB. There was not any. They had FMC had a Final Cut Pro. No, excuse me. It morphed from a Final Cut Pro track, which they said on December the 31st, it was going to be an exclusive Final Cut Pro track, but it morphed into an Apple Creator Studio track. Okay. So it was not an exclusive Final Cut Pro track, what they said on December 31st, it morphed into an Apple Creator Studio track. Pixelmator Pro, iPad, Final Cut on the iPad, and they even did some other stuff, motion and stuff. So that's what happened. Where are you guys from? I'm from the East Coast of the United States, right outside of Baltimore and Washington. So, good morning. Has anyone seen a Final Cut Pro Summit? Anyone? I'm on top of that, as you can imagine, and radio silence. I have my requests in to get information. So I have a placeholder there, and radio silence, because they said spring of 2026. So spring of 2026 is here. It's now too late to have the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit in the spring of 2026, because you have to give people at least 60 days notice, very minimum 60 days notice, preferably 60 plus days to 90 days notice. So 60 days from now is into the summer. So this is the third time that there's been a discussion, there's been an announcement about the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. The first one was beginning of September last year, and they said, we're not going to have one this fall. We're going to tell you more in December. Well, in December, they came out and said, well, we don't have the plan. We don't know about the Creative Summit yet, but here's some stuff we're going to do at NAB. And this is not FMC, by the way. FMC will do whatever Apple wants them to do. This is 100% on Apple, 99% on Apple. I don't think there's any FMC element whatsoever. So then they came out on December the 31st and said, hey, while we're finishing our plans for 2016, here's these things at NAB. Well, they didn't even mention the Creative Summit like they said they were going to do. Back in September 2025, they said they're going to let us know in December. December came, they didn't even mention the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. The only thing they had up was a graphic that said, coming spring 2026. Well, it's too late for that now. It's not going to happen spring. That's a funny comment. Staying on Final Cut today almost feels like an act of resistance. Listen, it's always, as much as we like Final Cut Pro, most of us that watch this do, it's been frustrating because of the slow pace of development. It's also frustrating when they don't tell us things that they say they're going to tell us. Back in September, 7 months ago, they said, hey, we're not going to have a Creative Summit this year. We canceled the Creative Summit in 2025, but we're going to have, it's coming in the spring of 2026. Well, it didn't come in the spring of 2026. We're heading toward the summer. There's been no notification at all. So they keep us in the dark, which is not a good way to treat your customers. And once again, this is not FMC, because they will do whatever Apple tells them to do. Now, Apple, in order to have a Creative Summit, there's a lot of things that have to be juggled. Number one is they don't have to, they most likely will have a big Final Cut Pro feature update exclusively announced at the summit. That's what they've done since 2019. No, 2022, 2023, 2024. 23 and 24. And they did it prior to that. A big Final Cut Pro feature update. So that's one of the main things they have to schedule the summit around. That's a big one because it's hard to predict 3 months in advance. Are we going to have this big feature update ready by then? Number two is they have to schedule a visit to the Apple Spaceship campus, because that's one of the big things. It's held in Cupertino. We go to the Apple Spaceship campus. That's another big thing. That's just not willy-nilly. We're going to show up there. They have to be scheduled. So those are two big things. The Final Cut Pro team have to be available because they give us a presentation and they do a private Q&A with us. Those are big ticket items. I think the biggest ticket item is trying to figure out when there's going to be a big Final Cut Pro feature update. But that is staying on Final Cut today feels like almost like an act of resistance. I hear you. I hear you. I felt NAB was a little more crowded this year. It was compared to last year, according to their numbers. Last year was 55,000. This year is 57,000 attendees, registered attendees. I have to leave. Bye, and thank you for telling me these things. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I love Final Cut, and I'm staying with it, but sometimes it feels like sitting in a small house while skyscrapers are being built all around me. I don't disagree with that sentiment, mostly because of the DaVinci Resolve skyscraper. That's the biggest one, but the other ones are doing well. The other ones are doing stuff as well. Here's the thing. I use DaVinci Resolve and I use Final Cut Pro. And if I'm going to edit on the iPad or the iPhone, I haven't tried Premiere yet. Adobe has a free version of Premiere for the iPhone, but I edit with LumaFusion. With LumaFusion on my iPhone and iPad. So that's the case there. We got a lot of people watching today. And Cirina is going to be on shortly. She's going to come on. We're going to talk about whatever we feel like talking about. We'll talk about whatever we feel like talking about. So that's interesting. I am going to go over here and check on YouTube channel. Let me see something here. There we go. Live stream. There we go there. I'm just going to keep track, make sure that there's not any. Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to go one more time. Video details. Go back to the vertical stream. Make sure we're not missing anything. I put the vertical in the feed so you can see the vertical stream. Let me just see what's going on. There we go. Yeah, we got both. Got both the vertical and the horizontal. Uncut TV. There we go. So that's weird that they do. It's two separate streams, but that's what they do. But that is what they do. So if you're watching on the vertical feed, are you watching on an iPhone? Is that what's going on? Got a lot of people watching on the X platform as well, as usual. Most people are on the horizontal feed. We got some people watching on Twitch TV this time too. Shout out to Twitch TV. Shout out to Instagram and Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Both of those. There's Lucy on the cat bed, futon out in the front room. The other kitty is not out there, Amanda Jones. You control the horizontal and the vertical. Well, last week we had people that were on, that wanted the horizontal, but were on the vertical. That's why I put vertical in the title of the vertical feed. So if you got vertical in the title, you're on the vertical feed. Final Cut Pro gets sparse updates. Resolve gets more bloated photos and complex. Resolve has always been more complex, but if you look at the Pro apps, Logic Pro is very complex. So it's not like Apple doesn't know how to make a complex app, but they dumb down Final Cut Pro a lot. For example, can you manipulate the keyframes in Final Cut Pro the way you want them? No, you can't. They don't want people to be confused about about working with keyframes. After 15 years, you would think they'd give us some leeway and give us access to work with keyframes. Let me see if I have that here. And I don't have it here, but anyway, there's after 15 years, it's funny, they have two different apps or extensions now that can work with keyframes because Final Cut Pro can't. There's been like a barrage of new products, new apps and stuff, plugins for Final Cut Pro, but I don't want a skeletal Final Cut Pro and all these plugins everywhere. I don't want that. Oh, we need all these plugins to run Final Cut Pro. No, I don't want that. I don't want 1,000 plugins to make Final Cut Pro. I want these features native in Final Cut Pro. And then we can have titles and some other plugins. It's a little frustrating, the slow pace of development. And it is slow. I think Final Cut Pro team would even tell you the same thing. Yes, we're not as fast as DaVinci Resolve, Premiere. I don't know about Avid. I don't pay attention to Avid. But Resolve is, coming out with all kinds of stuff. I'm learning Resolve a little bit more now, but it's definitely more difficult to navigate compared to Final Cut Pro. It certainly is. But I see AI keeps moving more and more into post and even cinematography. Well, yeah, AI has its place, and I use it for clearing up audio, use it all the time, and some other things. And DaVinci Resolve absolutely is more complex than Final Cut, but it's because Final Cut is somewhat dumbed down. I'll give you the example, the keyframe situation. We can't even access keyframes accurately to do what we want to do with them. Final Cut Pro says, no, you are going to use keyframes this way. That's the way we want you to use them. No, that's not the way I want to use them. That's why there's 2 new plugins that just came out, because Final Cut Pro is deficient in keyframes and keyframing. It's deficient. Okay? Otherwise, why would anybody make a plugin for it? I am now also on vertical, so iPhone, so 3 feet now. Any rumors or news about those new plugins? You mean the Motion VFX plugins? Is that what you're talking about? Final Cut needs the advanced mode you had in Final Cut Studio. They can leave the current version as a simple mode and let the pros switch to the advanced mode when needed. That's what Logic Pro used to do, but now Logic Pro, I think, switches to, if I'm not mistaken, Logic Pro automatically goes to the advanced stage now. They used to go to a very basic stage, but now it's an advanced stage. Now it's an advanced stage. Miss Lucy is sitting in the front window. She likes that in the mornings because of the sunshine. I'm going to turn that off. Because of the sunshine. Let me just check and make sure I have my apps turned off that I don't need. Yeah, we're good. We're going to turn off QuickTime. We don't need that. All right, just wanted to check. Just wanted to check. So there's always been a discussion about Final Cut Pro 10. Came out June the 21st, 2011. So we're coming up on the 15th anniversary or birthday of it. As far as motion VFX goes, no, we haven't heard anything, but I guarantee you that's going to be the big update to Final Cut Pro. Probably for the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit. And I'm just going to say this. I think that we're not going to have the Creator Summit in the spring as we were told we were going to have. 7 months ago, they said they canceled Final Cut Pro's Creative Summit for 2025. They canceled it. There was no Final Cut Pro Creative Summit for 2025. There's supposed to be one in 2026 in the spring of 2026. Well, it's too late now. They got to give people at least 60 days notice. So what does that mean? Well, it means a couple of things. Number one, there's no update for Final Cut Pro that's ready in the spring of 2026. I don't think they're going to have it over the summer. I think they're going to have it, I think they're going to push it back to November. Maybe October, but I'm thinking November. I'm back. Remember me? Yes, we remember you. You're on the vertical feed. Are you watching on your iPhone? Are you watching on your iPhone? So I have some inquiries into appropriate channels about the Creative Summit. It's not going to happen in the spring. That's the last news we had. It said it's spring 2026. It's too late. It's too late. How about slow updates? I would say Avid Media Composer is even slower at getting updates. That's what I'm saying. I don't know anything about Avid. I don't know anything about Avid. So just going to make a screenshot of something. I don't follow Avid. I have friends, of course, that use Avid, but I don't follow their pace of development. Now, there's a couple of things. Number one is we like Final Cut Pro. Even if you quote unquote switch to DaVinci Resolve, a lot of people will still use Final Cut Pro. I use Final Cut Pro primarily. I use DaVinci Resolve for some things, especially text-based editing, although with the ScriptStar plugin, it's made text-based editing a lot better in Final Cut Pro. If you haven't got that, go on the App Store and get the ScriptStar. It does a great job. It's $10, $9.99. It does a great job. It gets us about 75% of the way there for text-based editing in Final Cut Pro. Cirina's going to be on. She's going to be ringing in here shortly. So you're not watching on an iPhone? Are you watching on any kind of a phone vertically? If not, you're watching. So let me just check on the feed over here. Yeah, there we are. Yeah, it's interesting. So you can do, I'm going to do this. You can do, let me just do this. Did I miss things? Yes, you missed things. Are you interested in video editing or Final Cut Pro, or just happen to be logged on and this is something you happen to just fall into? I was wondering if you named Lucy after Lucy Farinelli, the smart redhead in Scarpetta books. No, I actually named her after, her full name is Lucinda, after Lucinda Williams, the musician. And we don't call her Lucinda, we just call her Lucy because it fits better. I'm watching from a tablet. Very interesting. Very, very cool. So I just wonder, it seems like the vertical feed has a different audience than the horizontal feed. That's why I'm curious. So Michael says the high cost of gas and traveling is likely to cancel the Final Cut Pro Summit until next year. No, I don't think they're not worried about the high cost of gas. Most people travel by airplane. I mean, when things go up, prices go up, prices go up. That's not a consideration for the summit. I doubt that very much. The gas prices have been higher in the past. I've been going to them since 2017, and they don't cancel because of high price of gas. They're not. If they canceled again, they might as well just not even do it anymore. They canceled it in 2025. If they canceled it again in 2026, then just forget about it. I've lost interest at that point. Not interested if you cancel it for a second year in a row. People, listen, going to the summit is expensive. It's a premium event, just like Apple has premium products. So usually a few hundred people show up there, and that's fine. The only thing that can be said about avid media composers, they get faster updates because Hollywood don't want to change to the Hollywood style. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why. There's a lot of reasons why NLEs update fast. DaVinci Resolve, Blackmagic, the entire company is dedicated to video production, audio production, hardware and software, the entire company. So they're dedicated to that one thing. Apple is not. Final Cut Pro is this big to Apple compared to this. This is gigantic. Macs, MacBook Pros, iPads, iPhones, the MacBook Neo, these are gigantic. Final Cut is this big in the overall scheme of things with Apple, whereas Blackmagic, the whole company is dedicated. Mine's $4.49 for gas. So mine is $4.41 right now. I don't travel that much, so it doesn't really affect me per se. I'm just checking on some things. Yeah, California is $6 a gallon. California, in my experience, when I go to Cupertino, the gas, I've been going since 2017. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2016, 17, 18, and 19. Gas was $2 a gallon more than the rest of the United States. So it's always $2 to $3 more than the rest of the United States. So California is an outlier, but it's also normal to be a lot more than everybody else. Yeah, that is crazy. But I don't drive that much. When I worked in Washington, D.C., I was the post supervisor in the National Archives in Washington. I drove 25,000 miles a year. And I didn't drive into D.C. I drove into the subway station, the College Park metro station, and then I take the metro into Washington. That way you don't have to worry about parking or anything. Not in D.C. And I drove 25,000 miles a year. Now I'm lucky to drive 2,500 miles. So I've reduced my mileage by 90%. So the gas price doesn't affect me that much, but it certainly doesn't affect me going to the Creative Summit. I buy an airplane ticket. Jet is almost doubled since it queued me 5.80 cents a gallon yesterday for regular. Yeah, we're at. I walk in the morning. I get up and I walk 2 miles during the spring and summer and the fall, and my 2 mile mark is a gas station. So when there's a significant change in the price of gas, I'll put up a little video on Instagram. It says, morning walk, gas prices. And I put it up. The last 2 days it was $4.45 and then it dropped to $4.41 over the last 2 days. So like I said, I don't drive that much. So I would get a airplane ticket to Cupertino. That's going to stay the same once I book that in. Just watched a review of the new M5 chip really fast. Are you thinking of getting one? Yes, I am. Which M5 chip did you look at the review of? I'm going to get it. I'm pretty convinced I'm going to get a M5 Mac Studio this time. I have the M4 Mac Mini Pro. Everything's at the top except for the SSD. I got a 2 terabyte SSD, not the 4 or 8, which is ridiculously priced. So I got the M4 Mac Mini Pro, which has been really good. But this time I want to get the Mac Studio mid-level. I don't need the highest end Mac Studio, just mid-level. I was looking at getting a MacBook Pro, the M5 MacBook Pro, but 2 reasons. Number one is they're supposed to have a new one coming out in the fall or in 2027. I don't use the MacBook Pro. I only use it when I travel to Cupertino or go to NAB. I don't use it as a portable at all. When I worked at the National Archives, I would take my MacBook Pro with me every day because I had a better system than I worked on down at the archives. They of course, had a budget and everything. Once a year, they'd upgrade their stuff. So my MacBook Pro was actually better. I had all my plugins I could work with, etc. So then I used to use it all the time. Now I don't use it hardly at all. In Holland, the price for a gallon is about $9.45. That's why we're angry about the price here in the Netherlands. I'm not defending that you shouldn't be angry about high gas prices at all. I'm not saying that, but the price of gas has gone up. 2022 was $4 a gallon, 4.6 per gallon. So there's all kinds of prices that goes up and it goes down. It goes up and it goes down for all kind of reasons. It's not just now that the price is high. M5 Max laptop. Yeah. I looked at the M5 Max. I did a comparison. The M5 Max MacBook Pro, the M4 Mac Mini Pro, the M4 Mac Studio Pro, and the M5 and the M4 MacBook Pro and Mac Mini Pro are about the same specs as far as the processor and stuff. I'm sure the M5 is better. I'm sure it is. No, absolutely. But I'm going to keep my Mac Mini Pro because Apple's only offering me $750 on a trade-in, and it was a $2,500 or $3,000 machine a little over a year ago. So I'll keep the Mac Mini Pro, and I'll get a Mac Studio is what I'm planning on. I just don't use a MacBook Pro. Right now, the only thing I use it for is for a third screen. It's right down below me right now. I have a third screen that I can look down, and I have another screen over to my right. So, yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting on the M5 Mac Studio. Absolutely. Got a lot of people watching live today as usual. So, all I know is the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit has not been delivered as it was. I wouldn't say it's a promise. The last thing they had up was spring of 2026. Well, it's too late now. So it could be canceled. Okay? But I hope it's not. I hope they just come out and say, we're going to have it in November. Now, if they make an announcement like that, do we believe them? I'll believe them because I believe in the people that are involved, but doesn't mean it's going to be in November. I hope they don't cancel it. They certainly could cancel it. That'd be very disappointing to a lot of people. I don't think they're going to. I think we're going to see, I've made this prediction multiple times on this show every Saturday. We're going to see the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, Final Cut Pro 13, and it's going to have the Motion VFX plugins integrated. That's going to be one of the big features of Final Cut Pro 13. The Motion VFX, whatever they're going to do with the plugins, if it's going to be subscription only, if they're going to have features from the Motion VFX team incorporated into Final Cut Pro 13 at the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit. Seems more likely it's just going to be an Apple Creator Studio Summit now. That would be disappointing. I don't care about, listen, I'm not going to go to Cupertino to see Pages and Keynote. Come on. Numbers? I'm going to go to Cupertino to see numbers tutorials? No. We want to, this is the biggest Final Cut Pro event. And I'm not disagreeing with you, Jeff. I'm just saying I don't want to see that. They did that at NAB, completely against that. It was supposed to be an exclusive Final Cut Pro track in December, and it morphed into an Apple Creator Studio track. Okay? Now, even if they do that, I'm sure the dominant app will still be, by a large margin, Final Cut Pro. Just look at the price. Look at the price of Final Cut Pro, $299. The next app down, the price is $199, Logic Pro. Then we get into the $50 app, Motion, Compressor, Mainstage. The rest of those apps are all free. That's the importance. Even if they do that, you're just diluting the importance of Final Cut Pro. If you call it it doesn't make any, are you going to call it the Apple Creator Studio Creative Summit? That's nonsense. That's complete and utter nonsense. I've made my opinion known to the people who are in charge. I got my eyes with Hy-Vee fuel saver discounts. I have 5 more gallons to burn before I need to buy more. But next week, significant points will expire. I can do that too. So we have a grocery store, and it gives you discounts on, you can use the discount for for gas. I've literally gotten gas for free, up to 25 gallons. I literally have gotten gas for free because we had so many points built up. You can build them up for 2 or 3 months, something like that. So, but usually the last time I got $1.20 off, so that helps. But I also spend gas on my lawn equipment. I spend gallons and gallons of gas on my lawn equipment, snow blower, leaf blower. I have 2 different zero-turn mowers that I have. I have a leaf vacuum system. I use gas besides what I put in my car. The big thing, who is ever very difficult, is AI memory war, who will make selection of future Mac difficult and planning for in a few months close to impossible. I understand your reason for not buying a new MacBook, as your streams from the next greatest summit will be the same high value when streamed from your M1 Max as when streamed from, but that's correct. Because the only thing I really care about as far as the MacBook Pro is Ecamm Live, and it runs fine. I can't stream. I could stream from my phone or my iPad, but I like the MacBook Pro a lot better, but I can't stream with Ecamm. It's much more sophisticated. I'm streaming to 5 platforms right now, 6 platforms. I'm feeding Ecamm 1 stream. Well, actually 2. I'm doing a vertical stream and a horizontal stream. And it divides it up and sends it to YouTube and sends it to Facebook and sends it to Twitch, sends it to Instagram. That's Ecamm doing all that. That is Ecamm doing all of that. There they are. They're the 2 sisters. The one on the right, the diluted calico, is Miss Amanda Jones. The one on the left is Lucy, who we see all the time. Oh, good. We got our guest here. Let me get my earphone in first, because I have you hooked up to the earphones.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, maybe I don't need my headphone then. If you don't hear any echo or anything, I'm not going to use it.
I could hear. I'm not hearing an echo on my end. I'm wearing my headphones.
Right. Okay.
So if it's not bothering you on your end, man, that's
no, it's not at all. I'd rather not use the headphone if I don't have to, earphone.
Yeah.
Since you got yours, where's your air conditioning?
It's on, but man, it's just like, it's hot. It's just, maybe it's me. I'm
okay.
hot.
They're saying, oh, hold on, I'm going to put the earphone in. They say they're getting it, the feed's getting it echo, so I'll put this in.
Okay. Do we have guests yet?
You're the guest. One second, let me get this.
Am I live on the air? Hello?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. We got a lot to talk about. Hold on a second. I'm going to switch this over to, let me see here, get that off to this, and I got to plug it in.
Hot.
Where did that go? I got to do all these things. There we go. Now there should be no echo.
I wonder if I put YouTube on with no sound, if I could see the guests. Who do we have on? Anybody I know?
You're the guest.
I mean the people that are watching.
Oh, don't you see their comments in the Ecamm Live window?
Nope.
You should be able to. But I'm going to post them. Well, I'm going to post
Okay.
them right now. I'm going to post, here's
Okay.
one.
Oh, there they are. Wait.
We are
Oops.
getting an echo for her, but we're not. No, but now no echo once I put this in. The echo is coming from my MacBook or my
Oh,
speaker, and they were hearing it through my microphone.
so I want to talk about studio commissaries this morning.
About what? Commissaries?
Studio studio commissaries, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Anyway, what do you want to talk about?
Well, that's fine. That's fine. One of the things that I wanted to do, and this has always been fascinating to me, I want to introduce people to you. Okay.
Okay.
Now, because, well, the reason is because you have an extensive background that people don't know about. Number one, tell us about your involvement with Rocky, the Rocky films.
Oh, yeah, I love that one. I was working as the senior VP of worldwide marketing, theatrical division at MGMUA, and very particularly proud of Rocky IV because we were the first studio. I said to the studio, I said, I want to release this movie at Thanksgiving. They said, you're crazy. We have to wait till Christmas. I said, no, 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 no. I want to be the first one to take a blockbuster and put it up at Thanksgiving. And they let us do it. And that's kind of started a trend and it changed the way tent poles were distributed. And we made a fortune on it. I can't remember the numbers, but yeah, that was a really fun movie.
So
Really fun one.
that's one thing. I mean, that's pretty darn big. Okay. My only claim to Rocky is I lived in Silver Spring, Montgomery Hills, when Sylvester Stallone was down there. Now, he was older than me, or we didn't go to the same schools, but he used to go to the same. We had a deli down there on George Avenue in Forest Glen. It was the Woodside Deli or something, and they had a pinball machine in there, and he used to go in there. And my older brother, used to take me down there and play pinball. So maybe we crossed paths or something, but that was Montgomery Hills, where Sylvester Stallone grew up as a teenager. And this is like pre Rocky. But so that's an amazing thing, though, that you were involved with that. Now,
Yeah.
number two, weren't you involved with the art festival? The big one, starting that?
Sundance?
Sundance.
Sundance?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of the co-founders of Sundance.
Well, once again, these are giant things that I'm not even sure where I found out. Maybe we were talking offline or whatever. And these are giant things. You were one of the co-founders of Sundance, and you worked on Rocky films.
Yeah,
I
and the
mean,
James Bond movies and yeah, the last big movie at the studio before Kerkorian sold it, and we all had to leave, was Rain Man. Very proud of Rain Man, actually, because I was with that film from the early scripts through development into planning the marketing and the release, and it won the Academy Award that year. So it was a great way to say goodbye. I'm on my own, and and then I started working on movies on the sets like Tombstone and Stargate and that kind of thing. Yeah,
I liked Rain Man a lot. That was a really, really good
yeah,
movie.
yeah. That
It
was
was,
a fun one. Everybody thought the poster was so amazing. I'm in my back office. I'm giving everybody a peek of my back room. But over
okay.
on that wall is the Rain Man poster with the picture of Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise. And we took out ads in the Hollywood Reporter and Variety to announce the movie coming. And we didn't even put the name of the movie on to begin with, just to kind of like pique interest.
Right,
And
right.
everybody thought, "Oh, you guys are genius. That's a great picture." And what I didn't say was that was the only picture out of all of the coverage that Justin and Tom would approve for the poster. So yeah, that was real smart. I pulled it out of the coverage, and that's what we ended up making the poster out of.
Absolutely. So since we're talking about your past, let me give you one question, see if you know. Do you remember when we met?
When we first met,
Yes,
oh my
in
gosh,
person.
I feel like I've known you my whole life, Richard. Wasn't it at
Well,
NAB?
yes, it was. Yes, it
Yeah,
was. But it was
yeah,
it was a certain event. Remember, NAB used to have the FCPX Guru Gathering, used to have the Faster Together stages. Apple,
yeah. Yeah.
the Final Cut Pro team did presentations at NAB. This is all pre-COVID, of course. But we met. I got the video.
Oh dear. Okay.
Let me pull that up in a second.
Am I going to be embarrassed?
No. Hold on a second. First off, let me get us on the screen, and then here we go.
Under a candle, I was really.
Oh wow.
So I said, from this moment on, I'm only the first to you. Thomas is only knows.
Welcome, guys. Hi, everyone.
Thomas only knows.
If we get more any more guys, we're going to
Now, do you recognize what this is?
Yeah, it's wasn't that in one of the back rooms where Brad was getting ready to show his movie? Or was that earlier than that?
This is earlier. This is 2017.
Wow.
And this is Luma Forge had a private party in another hotel, Sheraton, or not the Sheraton, but the whatever it was.
Right.
This is back in the days when Final Cut Pro had a lot of attention at NAB, mostly because of people, not because of Apple. But let me just...
Yeah.
so we can have 25 more guys go. Oh my God. Hold my beer. Hi, Jerry. Are you happy with the
So NAB 2017, there's me. There's
Yay.
me
Tie over the shoulder and everything.
I'm not saying this will be like the picture of Steve Jobs with the S2,
Steve Martin.
But like, we gotta have something for the graduation speech we can give someday.
That's how I signed my name. Really? Yeah.
All our buddies.
Go ahead.
All our buddies. Wow. Oh, that's Michael. Is that Michael?
Yes, it
Horton right
is.
there?
Yes, it is.
I saw. Oh, I love him.
Yeah. It's Beyonce all over again.
I met you at that signing board at this party.
That's right. I'm remembering now. Oh my gosh, I haven't changed a bit.
2017, so that's 9 years ago is when we met.
Wow. Oh, thank you for that. I would love
Isn't
to
that
have
great?
clip.
Yeah,
you're such
I
a
can send it. I can
historian.
send you a copy. Absolutely, I can send you a copy.
Historian. Wow.
Well, I started streaming live 2016 at the Creative Summit, and back in those days it was only Facebook Live, and it was square. No matter what you sent them, it was square 1-by-1 feed, and that's when I first started. And then I followed up in 2017 at NAB. I was streaming live. I was streaming live from that party as well. So that's when I started. I've been streaming live with Final Cut Pro stuff since 2016, so like 10 years. Never stopped.
Unbelievable.
Never stopped.
Unbelievable. Wow. Huh.
So
The good
let's
old
talk.
days.
Prior to COVID, we had the FCPX Guru Gathering. We had the Faster Together. Multiple years they had Final Cut Pro, mostly Final Cut Pro presentations. 2 years they had it in the hotel, and then the next year they actually had it in the convention center where they had like days of presentations and stuff. And then in 2019 they took over the Super Meet stage and did the Faster Together stage, and somebody from Apple was on the stage representing the Final Cut Pro team. And since then,
I
I
was on that stage, I think 3 times doing presentations, and that was a huge room. I mean, how many people were in that room? We were all there when they went from 7 to 10. Remember that? That was a huge event.
No, I wasn't there then. I didn't go. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I didn't travel until the first Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. I think it was 2016. That's when I first started going and to the West Coast for these events. So
Yeah. Our
there
friend
was-
Philip Hodgetts was there, and I remember Oh gosh, you're bringing back all these amazing memories. We've been so lucky, haven't we? Like Philip made some predictions about Final Cut in the days before the Supermate.
Right.
And Apple actually called him into a meeting and said, "How do you know all this stuff?" But it's just because he's smart. But he got kind of reamed about it, and he had to convince them that he wasn't releasing trade secrets. Speaking of
Right.
which, the old lumberjack cups.
Absolutely. I got my
Yeah.
Snoopy Christmas
Oh,
mug.
there we are. Well, I cannot see the chat, so if there's anybody there that I know, tell them hi. And also, did you tell them that we did a sound check and I came out in my PJs
Yeah.
at 7
Yeah. I got,
o'clock in the morning? I think
but
I scared you.
no, you didn't scare me. We talk over the years all the time and do stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if you're up for it, but one of the things that's on my mind right now is everybody's worried about their jobs and the changing in the industry. Do you want to talk about any of that, or did you have something
absolutely.
else in mind?
Absolutely. Let me get one more comment up first before you start.
Sure.
I may add my voice here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We at the time post NAB event and monthly Final Cut Pro users meetings, and even if it was small, the human contact and connection are now so missing. So yeah. That's why, listen, Final Cut Pro people are some of the most dedicated people to any
Yes.
NLE. Okay?
Yes.
Final Cut Pro people, or even if it's frustrating because of the slow pace of development, we're still dedicated. And yes, we want to meet in person. And yes, the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit is the biggest, best Final Cut Pro event in the world. So
It is.
don't get rid of it, and don't call it the Apple Creator Studio Summit. That's just a bunch of hooey. It's Final Cut Pro, front and center. That's what we care about. We wouldn't be here discussing pages and numbers and Keynote, okay? I wouldn't be here discussing that. Final Cut Pro is the main reason we're all here.
Absolutely.
Do you know
Absolutely.
Ben Bowser?
Oh, it's Ben here. Hi, Ben.
Yeah, I so miss the Final Cut Pro user groups around the country. Yep, they were indeed.
That's great. I miss everybody. And, that's what got me thinking. And this is weird because yesterday I was thinking about how when I was at the studio, I could go into what they call the executive room, the commissary at lunch.
Okay.
And you would be there and it would be like all of the board and it would be, Peter Hyams and the president of this and the president of that and all the stars that we were working with. And it was a kind of a quiet place where everybody could have lunch and meet and talk about things that they couldn't talk in the bigger room.
Sure.
And I just missed any of those rooms. And then this morning, Sid, one of the sons of one of the presidents of the studio at that time, posted about the death of Hollywood because there are no more commissaries. And that's not really true, but that's a part of it because we don't gather in person. I don't care how many Zoom calls you do. There's still that aspect of, just being in somebody's energy field, if you want to
Oh,
put
absolutely.
it that way.
Absolutely.
So I really miss that. I really do. But I've been thinking a lot about, and I try when I'm working with kids in the Student Media Collective. One of the things I'm trying to do for them is help them figure out. We all talk about technology and the variations in Final Cut 12, and I've been on Final Draft 13 the last 6 weeks, writing a script for a client, and frustrated because it's different from the versions I was using before. But so we talk about the technology, and you absolutely have to have that, but you have to figure out where you're going to make your money, or we're all going to lose
Absolutely.
our houses, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So a couple things happened recently, and I went to Project Hail Mary. I don't know if you've seen that movie yet, but I loved it. Everybody in my family loved it, from the grandkids on up to my kids to me, and we've been more than once. And so I was thinking about the old tent poles and the old numbers. And right now, everybody was saying, well, Hollywood's not going to be able to sustain the blockbusters. I think Hail Mary worked because it was an original story, didn't have a franchise, and it's the biggest hit of the year. It's made over, I think, 600 million by now worldwide.
Okay.
and they figured that Amazon would be making a profit by 500 million. Now, Amazon numbers, you have to think, and we'll get into this in a minute. And if I'm talking too much, tell me. But there's
No.
a halo effect. If you have a movie on Amazon, there's a halo effect with it, right? So
Sure.
Hail Mary went into the theaters. It's made over 600 million. But then think about what's going to happen at Amazon with the subscriptions, with all of the IP, with all of the spin-offs from that. It's going to be a fortune, and it's going to make a fortune for the filmmakers. So maybe the old Hollywood, the old MGM that was started in the whenever 40s or whatever it was. I don't remember dates. My whole life is based. People ask me, what were you doing this year? And I say, well, I don't know. Whatever movie I was working on,
Right.
that was the date. But so I'm thinking it had a really high opening weekend because people were going to something new.
Right.
And it was so good that it had the benefit of what we always used to call word of mouth. So I do think that if we can come up with really good stories, that will really help. But Hollywood domestic box office is down over 40% since 2000, I think it is. So the whole business plan for us as filmmakers and creators is changing. So how do we make money? And we all need to think about that. Where are we headed with these things we're cutting in Final Cut or the other NLEs? And we have to just think about that. There's a huge earthquake. I mean, CBS is going into receivership. I mean, CBS is gone. I was on that lot on a project last year, and the lot was empty. It's practically empty. We had two huge warehouses for the project where
Right.
we wouldn't have been able to afford that in the past. So I don't know how you feel about all that, Richard.
Well, I agree with everything you're saying. The only thing that I would say is theaters are one thing, but Hollywood has really morphed into just Apple TV and Prime Video. So it's not showing in the theaters, but they have phenomenal quality stuff on, I don't know, you don't call it cable TV, but
Call it the
it's
streamers.
streaming service. I mean,
The streamers.
you have Slow Horses on Apple TV. You got movie stars starring in TV series and TV shows. And the quality is superb with a lot of this stuff. So it's not going into the theater so much, but there still seems to be F1, the movie with Brad Pitt. I loved it.
Absolutely. Me too.
But I'm not even a racing person. I'm not even a racing person. It was getting such high accolades. It's a great, I kept telling
Right.
Jane, I said, don't worry, Brad Pitt's going to be the hero. There's no way they're going to push him out for the younger guy. And of course, it was the case. That's just the way it is. But Apple TV has incredible quality. There's a lot of quality stuff on Prime TV. From Amazon and the other streaming services. So that seems to be where Hollywood is making a lot of its films nowadays with big stars, movie stars,
Right.
Brad Pitt,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think what, for example, like Netflix is doing is they're shortening the windows. So even if it does get a theatrical release, they're going in and they're putting it up on their service. So I would really encourage everybody that wants to make long form content or even TV type series, do some research about what the deals are on these streamers before it's like I always tell people, don't spend your own money, and then I do it.
Right.
And listen to
I hear
myself.
you. I hear you.
But I think if you're putting a deal together to try to make money on this amazing films that you're working on, and you've got the people listening are great editors and colorists and sound mixers, you guys are amazing. I don't know what I would do without you, but take a look at what the deals are. And I would think the first thing you should do if you're developing a film is get an attorney. Spend
Yes.
your money.
Of
Get your
course.
attorney first, and find somebody that knows the different streamers and already has relationships. And that way you're planning your project and you're going to make some money down the road.
Right. Now, here's something it has local ties to Maryland. The Blair Witch Project. I remember when that was being filmed, it was filmed locally, not too far from here, 15 minutes from here. And a friend of mine said, hey, my cousins or nephews are working on this film. Do you want to be part of it? And I said, I'm kind of busy, so I didn't get involved. But it was the Blair Witch Project. Now, here's the thing. They went to one of the festivals, it might have been Sundance or another one, and they were offered $1 million. And they took it. And then the film grossed hundreds of millions of dollars. The best thing they should have done, and I always thought this, is what Sylvester Stallone said. I don't need a big advance. I want a piece of the action.
Exactly.
I want a piece of the action. Always tie something that has potential to be big into at least a piece of the action, a percentage, 5%, 10%, and then you can take your payday plus a percent or take less of a payday and get that percentage.
Here's the kicker with that, though. And things are changing, but it's really hard to get a gross deal, even if it's 1%, unless you have a big name already. If you're going after a net deal, that's where you get screwed. Sorry. Because like on the James Bond films, it was costing so much money to release them that the filmmakers that were involved that were on a net deal really weren't making any money. And so that's tough for filmmakers, you know?
Yeah, of
But
course.
you're absolutely right. Go after a piece of it. Take 5% of the net and then push to audit the books if you can. There's usually 2 sets.
George Thorogood, you know him in The Destroyers. He did the same thing. He said, I'm not worried about the advance. I want a percentage or whatever. And of course, it worked out really well for him as well. Now, I mean, everybody didn't have that kind of push. For example, I think this happened to both David Bowie and to somebody else. Oh, it was somebody else that they said, we're going to change your name from Davy Jones, which was David Bowie's name. We're going to change it to David Bowie. And he said, well, I don't want to do that. He said, you do that or you just go back to where you came from. That was the choice they had. And so sometimes you don't have a choice and you got to kind of accept what they give you, at least initially. Just don't sign a lifetime contract or 10 years or whatever. I mean, the Rolling Stones and the Beatles both got screwed in the 1960s with publishing, both of them. And it's just incredible that they got. You saw satisfaction on a Snickers commercial at one point because the Stones, they didn't own the rights to publishing. They had a publisher and it, messed with them. Let's just say that. So you have to be careful.
Yeah. Work with people that you trust. That's hard to find, but if you have a team that you come to know in the distribution side, really be loyal to them and grow with them and stick with them. Do you know last year, IMAX made, let's see. IMAX made in 2025, 1.2 billion.
Wow.
And over 35% of the audiences now are on the streaming services. So that's huge. That's really huge. We all have to figure out how we're going to take this desire to be independent warriors and yet need the system to help us make money. And I would love to have that conversation. If everybody wants to think about it and maybe, get in touch with us, I'd love to have this conversation again, because so many of my friends are without work right now. And when you hear about things like Disney firing over 1,000 animators a couple weeks ago and replacing them with AI, it's getting a little scary. So, we just do. Remember that book, Where's My Cheese? Or what was it called? Where's the Cheese? I don't know if you remember that. It's like everything is always changing, and that cheese that you want is always moving somewhere else. So you have to be aware of where it is.
No, absolutely. So Ben says, what's Cirina, or no, is Jeff that said, what's Cirina's working on now? What is Cirina working on now?
Oh, I'm really excited. I got hired 6 weeks ago to do a rewrite on a script that I had literally written maybe 10 years ago. The client called me and they I'm on the Writers Guild, so I got paid
Sure.
to do a rewrite, which is nice.
Sure.
And it's a theatrical film, so I think I'm going to be really excited about it. And here's a good use of AI. I would never, ever, ever let AI write a script. I want it to come out of my own head.
Yes.
But here's what I'm going to do. I delivered the script yesterday, and I used AI to help me go through the final script and tell me where there might be any formatting inconsistencies in Final Draft 13. And it helped me. It found a few things that I
Yes.
needed to correct that I hadn't seen or that were hidden in the code with Final Draft 13. So we fixed that. And today I'm actually going to go for some more coverage on it. But I can read you the log line that they gave me yesterday. You want to hear it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's called Penalty, and it's a faith-based sport and redemption kind of film. Like not typical. It's different, I think. But it says, after 13 years in prison for a drunk driving crash that killed his wife and two strangers, a former high school football prodigy is released and enrolls at Boise State, where he must face his estranged son on the same team, his father's long deferred apology, and the God he abandoned in order to complete one final drive toward redemption. When I went to have the script coverage and the mistakes like formatting errors, look at the formatting errors it found. I went through and I checked off each one before I sent it to the client. But I went, that log line's not bad. I'm going to change it.
Right.
But you can use AI to help you be better.
Yes. Absolutely.
Don't let AI take your creativity away.
No.
You want to be the boss of that.
No,
So,
absolutely not.
ask Ben if that's what he wanted to hear.
what made
Or
the
Jeff.
Beatles and the Rolling Stones so phenomenal? Nothing to do with AI. It was the magic of human beings
Yeah.
and the magic combination coming together and being creative.
Right.
There's things that AI is good at, and there's things that AI is not good at. Number one is AI is
Right.
not good at comedy. Ask AI to write some comedy. It doesn't understand. It can't do it. So
AI doesn't have a soul.
right, exactly.
AI
Absolutely.
can't give you a hug. AI cannot make you cry, cannot make you laugh. Maybe it will get there, but it's not going to take what's in my head away. I mean,
Right.
I literally woke up in the middle of the night last night because I had a little bit of issue with one of the scenes that was very important. And what happens with me is I'll tell my mind, okay, there's one thing that I really want to change a little bit. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I had it. It came to me, right? From whatever that creative space is.
Yes.
So I got up and I'm writing as fast as I can. And later on today, I'm going to add those two tiny little scenes that are going to help the character development. That was one area that I wanted to change. Story is very important for everybody listening. You have to, like Hail Mary was a great story, beautifully told with great actors and great effects. And boy, so we'll see what happens with this movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, AI can't create the magic of Lennon and McCartney or Keith Richards and Mick Jagger. They just can't do it. Those are magic moments that are human, 100% human. And there's plenty of things for AI to do. It can clean up my audio all day long. It can make a thumbnail better than what I can make. I'll give it some ingredients and some prompts and let it make it. That's fine. That's all fine stuff. Did you see this? Let me see if they're here. Oh, there they are. Yeah.
Cute. My
Give me,
puppy's on the other side of the door. She'd be trying to get on my lap if I let her in here.
Let me pull you. Let me pull you over here. I'll make a copy of you. I'm making a copy of me that I'm going to add you instead of me. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, that's the front cat room. That they have their own futon. They stay in the front room usually when the sun comes in, and they just sit there. And then each has their own cat tree. So spoiled girls.
Well, Pebbles has her own couch in my other office. I call it my dad's office because I've got his 1950s heavy wooden desk in there and the whole
Ah,
wall full of my books. And so
okay.
on the one wall's all books and the other wall is Pebbles' couch.
Absolutely.
So, so yeah,
We love our pets, that's for sure.
we do.
So
Our
the
pets
last,
and our
the last, was it 2024 Creative Summit or 2023 when we had the excursion with your Tesla looking for cream for my coffee?
cream.
Was that 23 or 24?
I think it was 23.
Okay, 23,
I
yeah.
think it was 23.
Yeah. That was
You
when,
know, I was thinking about getting a new car and I'm looking around. I really like the electric cars and my Tesla's not a new Tesla. It's a 2018. And so I don't know if anybody's interested in this, but it was a little journey I took last week to try to figure out, am I going to get a new one? Am I going to get something different? I definitely don't want to be buying gas right now. And I love
hmm
your little post about how much gas costs. But Tesla has a thing where if you have a used Tesla, you can for $2,000 get an extension on the battery warranty.
Hmm.
So for $2,000, I can drive that car for another 2 years and not worry about the battery.
Well, that's
I just to
great.
stick with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will see you at the Creator Summit with the Tesla.
Now, good,
And
good,
we'll
because
go
that's
for cream.
well, the only place that I want to go is, what's funny was 2023, we stayed at the other hotel, which is about a mile away from away from Cupertino.
Venue. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, from the hotel. And we went around and looked for cream for our coffee. And we went to was it a Target?
Was it Target or Walmart? I don't remember. No,
No,
it
it
was a
was
Target. It was a
Target.
Target.
And when I went to get cream at the last Creative Summit in 2024, I think it was the same one because we were in Cupertino and I would walk, and I'm pretty sure it was the same one we went to from up north, from the other hotel.
But remember, we couldn't find it. It was in a whole different section. Didn't
It
make
was
sense.
weird. It was very, very strange trying to find the cream for. Well, remember we got in there. We got into the Target. We're looking at the milk section. Looking at the milk section.
not
Oh, here's
there.
all the milk. Then everything. No half and half. No cream. And we're like, what the heck? Where? And the guy said, "You looking for half and half?" We go, "Yeah, it's over here. It's in a different section, not with the milk
Totally
and
different.
different milks and everything. It's over here in a different section." So I'm glad he
You know
listened
what?
to us.
Richard, you've been asking me about my path. Have you told everybody about your rocker days?
I think they hear it every once in a while. I'm going to put up. I have videos that started in '79, I think, of my band playing, and I'm going to. First off, I'm going to upscale them because they're all SD, and I'm going to clean them up, and I'm going to put a collection up on my YouTube channel. Oh, absolutely. Music is there's a couple of things that are high priority in my life. Music is one, and Animal Rescue is the other one. Those two are gigantic in my hierarchy of my life. So Final Cut's in there somewhere, but it's not as high as those two. So yeah,
Yeah.
I play on a
How's
live stream.
Raz doing? You did a great documentary, Raz. How's that?
Yeah,
doing?
we had our screening 2 weeks ago, our fourth local screening, and it was a very, very good crowd for a theater crowd. So that's probably the last one we're going to do, the last screening. We got to figure out a way to put it out online somehow. We're not going to make a DVD, I don't think. We're just going to figure out a way to put it up. And the problem is it's very long. It's 2 hours and 50 minutes, 40 minutes, but that's with an intermission. So it'll be less than that, but we'll figure out a way to do it.
You know, have you thought about doing a limited series for like Netflix, breaking it up into 4?
Well, I don't think Netflix would be interested.
I don't know. You'd be surprised. Or Amazon, Hulu. Probably, I would say Netflix or Amazon maybe. Hey, it couldn't hurt.
Well, no,
Or
of
the other
course.
thing is, if you do a deal with PBS, one thing I like about PBS is you retain all the rights.
Right.
And they'll play it if they pick it up, they'll play it in whatever, sometimes nationwide,
Sure.
And the way you make your money is you're allowed to have advertising in the front and the back end. So you sell that advertising, and
Right.
that's how you make your money, but you retain all the rights. So that's a great way to go with something like Raz, maybe, because it's
Yeah.
historical, it's music. I don't know, just a thought.
No,
I'm not an
absolutely.
attorney.
No, absolutely. We have my co-producer Jeff Krulik. He just, matter of fact, he just had a 40th anniversary of Heavy Metal Parking Lot, which there is an article, I think, in Newsweek or one of the maybe New York Times or something like that about it. And he has like cult films. He had Heavy Metal Parking Lot, and he had another one called Led Zeppelin Played Here, which is about Led Zeppelin playing at the Wheaton Youth Center in Maryland. People are debating to this day, yes, they played, no, they didn't play, yes, they played, no, they didn't play. And he has one that has over 1 million views on YouTube called Ernest Borgnine on the Bus. He went with Ernest Borgnine on a bus trip somewhere. I don't know what the heck. I haven't watched it all. It's got like over 1 million views on YouTube. So he's my co-producer. We got together because we're both big fans of this band from DC called Raz. Huge fans. And we decided that they needed documenting, so we did it. It's been a long time.
You know, that the creator economy that everybody's talking about, like you're mentioning YouTube and 1 million views. I'm not going to ask you for confidential information, but I'm wondering how much money he made off of that. You know, like the average, I would say, like the mid-tier creator, if they're lucky, like they're making 2,000 to 5,000 a month if they have, I don't know, 10,000 followers or whatever, and they're posting all the time. I know Mr. Bean, he makes 50 million a year. But he's an anomaly, most people aren't
Right.
making that much money.
No,
So
no,
what
you're
we
not.
all have to do, I think we should all figure out what we want to do as creators. What do we dream of? What do we want to tell? What story do we want to tell? Get an attorney or get somebody who knows a lot about the business, but then make a list of where you can distribute it and think about where you can make your money back, and then back your budget into that, you know? Like this film that I wrote, it's probably going to be around 10 million to do because of all the football scenes and all that stuff. And if you want to do it right, and we want some stars in it. But there could be a smaller version of it that might also be successful. So we have to think, I try to tell all the students I work with, it's great that you know how to use cameras, and it's great that you're out there making short films with your friends and doing music videos, but what are you going to do when you graduate? Or for all of us as creators, what are we going to do now that the whole market is shifting? And let's all think about that. And let's just stay resilient and know where the cheese is
When
or
I
the cream.
when I was a youngster, back when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, and I was playing in a band, and I played in a band all through the 70s and all through the 80s. I would play at night in the clubs, come back the next morning, work construction. For me, this worked out well. I always had a brick and mortar job that was not dependent on the music, because the music, I didn't want to compromise. I didn't want to do covers and be a cover band. I wanted to do original stuff, and that restricts your ability to play out. Plus, I didn't think, musicians don't get, local music, they don't get paid that much. And I like to make money, so I got in construction, and I worked construction as a carpenter and heavy equipment operator and stuff, because that was a 40-hour-a-week job, and I got paid 40 hours. That enabled me to do music the way I wanted to, 100% on my terms, original music and clubs at nights, and that's what I did all through my life. So, like when I got a job at the National Archives. Yes, I would make government videos for them, but I'd make them better than what they were used to. But that's still, because I had that 40-hour-a-week job and got paid for 40 hours a week editing, I could still do the videos that I wanted to do. That enabled me to do my stuff that I want to do, and that's why I've always done it.
Yeah.
And
But the other thing it does too, it keeps you excited about life.
Yes.
If you're sitting at home and you're worried about where the next job is going to come from because you're reaching for the stars, which is fine, I think what you did was perfect. You gained knowledge. I mean, you're an amazing historian. because you retain all that information, and you've worked at some amazing places. I know between movies one time, it was Christmas time, and all my kids were going to be with their dad, and I was going to be alone for Christmas. And I was in between movies. I think it was between Tombstone and Stargate or something like that, right? And there was a break for the
Yep.
holidays. I went to a temp agency and I took a typing test, and I could type 120 words a minute. And I got
Wow.
a job. I got a job making $12 an hour at NatWest. It was a financial company. And I had the best time. It wasn't for the money, it was just to get me out of the house. I redid
Sure.
their filing system. And then they came back from holidays and I had redone the whole filing system and everything. And I actually got a job as project manager on a $3 million website they were doing because they were merging with Wells Fargo. So
Right.
what you did at the National Archives propelled you to something else. So, and it kept you busy, and you feel really good about yourself when you do that, right?
Well, I really liked working at the National Archives a lot. I mean, listen, I left Carroll County early in the morning. I got down to D.C. at 6 o'clock. But every morning I would get out at the National Archives Navy Memorial subway. It's way down. It's 2 stories down, up the escalator. And I'd get out of the escalator and I'd look to my left and I could see the U.S. Capitol because this is Pennsylvania Avenue. And then to the right, and you couldn't see it from that position, but it was the White House. So every morning for 8.5 years, I'd get out and I'd look to the left and see the Capitol, and, part of history, because the National Archives is right in the middle between the Capitol and the White House.
Right.
And
And there's
the
also another one. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, there's also another National Archives in Virginia, because that's the one I would go to for research.
Library of
It,
Congress.
oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Library of Congress is, National Archives owns all the presidential libraries.
Right. Okay.
Library of Congress has the biggest collection of films and et cetera, et cetera. That's a different, that's the one that's in Virginia. We have 2, the DC is the main one. It's called Archives 1, but they have Archives 2 in College Park, Maryland. I was up there, we'd go back and forth because we had a shuttle bus. And I was up there one day in the lobby at the Archives 2, and in comes Annie Leibovitz with her with her entourage. She was there to look at some film, some glass film negatives or something. It just the way it was down there. But the biggest thing about the National Archives was Archives 2 is they have all the Kennedy assassination memorabilia. They have Oswald's rifle, Officer Tippett's the 38 caliber gun that was shot Officer Tippett. They have Oswald's shirts and vests that he was in when he was arrested and when he was shot, all that stuff. Now, it's not ever going to be shown to the public because of the Kennedy family. I'm not sure it should be, but I was amazed that stuff was up there. They have the real Zapruder film, the real one that was shot by Zapruder
Wow.
there. All that memorabilia up at Archives too, but it's not meant for, well, the Kennedy family is very powerful, let's just say that. So it's not going to be shown in any museum or anything.
What I love about the archives is you can go to the desk, you can make a list of what you want to watch, and
Yes.
they'll actually give you, in the old days, it was tapes, and you could
Yes.
take it to a separate room and you'd
Yep.
have a machine and you would project it, and then you could order copies of what you needed for stock footage or whatever. So
Right.
that
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
A lot of it's online now for the people listening.
That's
If you need
correct.
to do research, boy, there's some amazing things online for you.
It absolutely is. There absolutely does. They've transitioned. It used to be you can go in there and get, watch a videotape or whatever you wanted, whatever the format it was in, and go to a separate room. But they would search you coming out for sure because people like to steal things. And
Yeah.
they've had multiple instances where things were appropriated.
That's
So,
terrible. You just
yeah.
popped up a comment and I couldn't read it. It was asking me a question.
We'll put it back up.
What
Does
is it?
The only one LE in jobs segmented by so many unions contracts in Hollywood make the backlash from creator economy impossible to avoid since it's our way or no way. So he's just talking about the unions and stuff. I mean, like anything else in the world, there's good and bad,
Well, I'm kind of feisty, and I'll tell you what I did for many years. I have written, field directed, produced a lot of reality television, and I was a member of those guilds. And I literally said out loud in a Writers Guild meeting, and I didn't care what the ramifications were. I said, look, if I waited for you guys to find me jobs, I wouldn't be working
Right.
at all these companies. National Geographic at the time, I'm not doing anything for them right now. Anyway, they said, if you tell anybody you're in the Writers Guild, we're not going to hire you. And I said, okay, I'm fine. Hire me.
Yeah.
So the unions are there to help us, and they're really good for negotiating. And like, if you're working on a major film, they'll make sure you get your vacation pay, which a lot of people
Right.
don't get, or they'll make
Right.
sure you get your kit rental. But I really don't think, given the nature of where we are right now, that they're going to stop you from taking a job if it's a non-union job. So National Geographic, Discovery, Lifetime, even some of the studios, if it's a pickup, they're not going to pay union wages. But like this script, I had told the executive producers, I really want this to be through the Writers Guild, and they agreed to do that. So
Right.
that helps, because on the last one I did, I get a tiny little check every month for one that I did years ago. So
Are you doing any video editing right now?
yeah, I'm actually, now that I've delivered this script, I am Keontae Story, who stars in the documentary I've been working on for the last 10 years,
Right.
graduated, got his master's degree in science, in kinesiology or something similar. I'm sorry. It was just yesterday. I watched his graduation. And so now we have the happy ending. And I'm going to go now and start gathering all the footage that I've shot over the years, and all the interviews and all the stock footage, because there's World War II,
Right.
Korea,
Right.
Vietnam, and Afghanistan. So we can come back on and talk about that process at some point. But yeah, that's going to be full speed ahead. I'll be using probably Final Cut, because that's what I know the best, although I do want to learn how to edit in Resolve.
Right.
And then, I'm not going to be using any of the shortcut color services yet. I think it's going to be on Resolve. I just like being able to manipulate tiny things, and I don't want a template to tell me what they think is the best. So, but yeah.
That was my next question. What, are you using Final Cut? Because I know you've used it in the past, but I know you've been frustrated sometimes, as we all have, with Final Cut, and.
Well, but it's a language, and I'm comfortable with it. It's like English is my first language. I can speak French and German, but I can't write it as well. So I had a college student who actually, on her break, came over here, and I was teaching her how to use Final Cut to do the podcasts, which I know you're going to laugh because you use Logic, but I can do audio in Final Cut if it's for a podcast, and tweak the audio and make it sound and make it look good. And a lot of the schools are teaching Premiere, and she was a little uncomfortable to try something new, but she loved it so much that her parents bought her a copy of Final Cut, and that's what she's using now to edit all of her little short films and music videos and everything that she's shooting for her on her own time for her school. So
Right. No, I can certainly edit a podcast in Final Cut, and podcasts are not that complex. The audio is not that complex. But here's an example. Well, first off, there's a reason that there's Logic Pro. There's a reason why there's Pro Tools. These are digital audio workstations. They're leaps and bounds more sophisticated for audio than Final Cut.
right.
Now, DaVinci Resolve has Fairlight, which is a very sophisticated, so they have it built in. But I can do things in Logic so much faster with complex audio, not for simple audio. But like right now, so we don't have text-based editing in Final Cut Pro yet, specifically, not like DaVinci Resolve has and Premiere has and Avid has. It's been
Builder.
years.
Use Builder.
exactly, Builder. And then our friends from Australia came out with ScriptStar. $10, $9.99. It takes the transcripts that Final Cut Pro makes and it puts all your transcripts as favorites. So all your lines of dialogue open up a clip and it's all, the entire transcript is there. And you can click on one of the favorites and it highlights it in the browser. You can drop it in the timeline. So it's about 75% there. But I've seen an explosion of apps and things recently for Final Cut Pro. I don't want 1,000 applications to complete Final Cut Pro because this is what it looks like.
That's true.
I don't want all these
Like,
apps.
Leave me alone. Just let me work.
There's a few that I love. ScriptStar is one of them, and some of the ones that Philip and Greg have done. But I don't want to be just constant bombardment of new apps to complete what Final Cut Pro should have natively. I just don't want that. I want Final Cut Pro to be a complete NLE by itself with some things like Motion VFX acquisition. They have some incredible titles and stuff. I don't expect Final Cut Pro to do those. That's really a third-party area. But I always say I don't want a skeletal Final Cut Pro that needs all these plugins to be a complete NLE, the way I look at it. I don't want that.
Well, I think that it's interesting what's happening between Blackmagic and Adobe in terms of their NLEs. When Blackmagic announced their ability to tweak your still photos within Resolve, that was pretty cool. And I'm sure that kind of took Adobe a little bit by surprise. And so we'll see what happens with all of that. But I think that the people that own Blackmagic, that Grant wants to become an all-encompassing solution for all of us. So somebody's saying I was a school teacher, athletic director. I can't read the captions. They're too small.
When I started making my own surf documentaries, never needed any money paid for my own projects. He was talking about its financing. So here's the distinction, and I make this all the time for people that don't realize it. Blackmagic is a company dedicated to video production. Everything they do is video production. Cameras, switchers, audio mixers, it's all the software, 100% video. Final Cut Pro is this big in the Apple ecosystem. It's tiny compared to this. Where Blackmagic, the whole company is dedicated to video production. That's what it does. That's all it does. So it's a big difference between those two.
Well,
but it's,
go ahead. Sorry.
You go ahead.
Well, I'm just flashing back to a conversation I had with Grant at NAB a few years ago, when he literally said to me that Hollywood charged way too much money for all of these solutions. And he wanted to create an economy where people who wanted to tell stories could afford to do it. And that's his mantra. He really believes that. He's sticking to that.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of the schools will say, well, can I get a discount on the Blackmagic cameras? And I say, no, because they're being sold at wholesale prices already.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
But I think Apple's like the difference between a Blackmagic and an Apple, and Apple's monstrous. I mean, what were they, 416 billion or something last year?
Yeah.
They're a financial strategy. They're a business, and they I hate to use the word use us. They help us to achieve what we want to achieve, but the iPhones are a huge part of it. It's getting bigger every year.
Yep.
But I think analysts are keeping a close eye on Apple because it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like the anti-Amazon of 2026. So we'll see what happens. You know?
Yeah, but people have been predicting the doom of Apple for 20 years.
Oh no, they're not going anywhere.
No, Apple itself is very conservative with the products that they release. They don't release everything. Mm-hmm. They say no a lot more than they say yes. What's growing with Apple is how much money they make. That's like a juggernaut that's not stopping. But
The only
there's been-
thing, I'm sorry. You're getting me on my high horse with Apple. There's one thing I don't like about them. I wish people would leave me alone with the AI stuff. I don't need to be writing an email on my phone and have a pop-up ask me if I want AI to write it for me. I don't want the iPhone to track everything I do all day, every day. People are telling me, well, I tried calling you and I can't get a hold of you. I said, well, it's because I left the phone in the other room, you know? So I'm starting to do more of that, especially if I'm in my creative mode.
Absolutely.
Can you guys please just leave me alone?
Absolutely. No, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, the AI stuff is fine. I mean, it's nothing that I'm going to be doing for, I'm going to create. If I can't create it myself, why bother? If I'm just going to prompt AI to create for me, that's not creating. That's something different. I'm a creator.
Not fun.
I write music. I do editing, film. I do films, and I used to do actually painting artwork as well. So I don't want AI to do that, but it can help me. It can clean up my audio. That's fine. It can transcribe my audio, my text and stuff. That's completely fine as well. So,
As a musician, though, you have to be aware that on some of the top songs that are out making the most money are AI. These videos with music, I think the top 10 are all AI and they're making a fortune. I think that'll drop though when people realize that they're not human and they're starting to all sound alike. The voices
well, of course,
sounding alike. So, there's not going to be a Rolling Stones on AI unless they rip them off. That also brings one other thing to mind. As creators, you and everybody listening, get your copyrights in order immediately.
Before you publish, before you put it on the internet.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the old method of just putting a copyright notice on your work, and it used to be that the Copyright Office would honor that if you just put copyright Richard Taylor 2000 whatever, and the Copyright Office would honor that. But there have been some legal disputes lately where AI has actually won because they stole people's voices or people's work, and then they put it out and they copyrighted it. So the Copyright Office and the creators went to trial with it and they lost. It's
you have
scary.
to do it before you publish it. That's what something you have to do. Listen, I've gotten a strike on YouTube for my original song before because some sleazy company just said, well, this sounds kind of like one of our songs. I said, no. Here's when I published it. Here's the copyright, and of course I won. But that's just YouTube. I'm not going to go to court over something like that. I mean, you can afford it, not unless there was a lot of money involved.
Yeah, but your original work, all of the music that you use in your shows is all yours. You created that. You're an amazing talent. You're an amazing talent. You don't brag about it enough. But, I think I've told you the Warner Brothers story about they sent me clips of Ed Sheeran's documentary during the Berlinale. I don't know, maybe 6 or so years ago, maybe more. And, they wanted me to put together a little video about the behind the scenes of the Ed Sheeran documentary. And I put that up on YouTube, immediately got a strike from the Warner Brothers legal department. And I wrote back and I said, wait a minute, your PR department sent me those clips and asked me to do this. So they wrote back and they said, okay, we're not going to have you take it down, but you won't be able to make any money off of it. I said, well, I'm not making money off of it anyway. So
Right.
But I think the caveat there is even if you're doing videos for PR purposes or commercial purposes, get something in writing, giving you the rights. So the copyright filing and even if it's just a legal memo, that says you have the right to use this music signed by somebody at the company. And then if there is a strike against you, you can show that and hopefully you will still be able to have your work up online.
Yes, absolutely.
Isn't Is it time to go, Richard?
No, we still got a few minutes. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, does anybody have any questions they want to ask? Or how about you? Is there anything you want to talk about?
I do have to, let me just pull this up real quick okay, I'm going to, hold on a second. So last week we had a Sebastian Leitner on. He's a brilliant guy from Germany. And when I played my film down at the theater a couple weeks ago, I had to make a DCP. This guy's a DCP genius. He's
I need him.
Oh, he's really good. I'm going to show you his website right now. Let me see. Where is that? Videos, MacBook. There it is. Now I'm going to put us on screen. Hold on one second. Camlink 1. Camlink 2. There we are. Look at your circle. I don't know why you came up circle links last time. But this is his website. Since he was on the show, he's making all these plugins for Final Cut. For different things with Final Cut Pro, and they're all free right now. They're all free. He just started doing this. I told him, I said, "You're on fire."
Wow.
So,
I'm going to go. What's the website? I'm going to put it in here right now so I don't forget.
I'm going to put it up here right now. You have to type in the secret word or it won't come up for you. I'm going to put a title up. So his name is Sebastian Leitner, Leitner, and I'm going to put it up as a title. Let me see. Where's my titles? Titles.
Don't you love talking to smart people? It's like, I love, Philip and Greg and I talk still once a week, even though they're in Australia.
Yes, absolutely. As long as I can understand them. I'm going to put this up.
Okay.
So what you have to do is Sebastian Leitner, Leitner.com. You have to put in the /apps to get to the apps because otherwise they won't show up on his website. So that's how you do it.
Okay, let me see if I can get in. If I don't do this right now. Oh, there it is. Wow. Make it be raw.
Yeah, he has a
relink. Oh, relink. That's great.
Yeah. Force, Cirina, nice. Force relink. It forces relinking on stuff. I just had that situation the other day where I couldn't get the stuff to work. Final Cut says, "Oh no, they're the same files, but we're not going to relink them. We know better than you." No, you don't.
Make it move. I like that. SRT DCI compliance. Boy, this guy's brilliant.
He is. He's really, really incredible. So
Don't we have amazing friends?
Yes. So he's making these for himself, and he's made them all public at this point. So that's where you can get them all. I'm going to probably have him back on to help explain some of these because I don't quite understand. He was on last week. We was on the last week's show. So.
Well, thank you, Sebastian. Vielen Dank.
He's from Germany. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Germany.
Vielen Dank, Sebastian.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, what's interesting? So for 15 years, we haven't been able to satisfactorily manipulate keyframes in Final Cut natively, right? They're frustrating. In the last month or two, we've had 2 apps that came out, third-party apps. One of them is by Ian Anderson, from Australia, and there's another one for advanced keyframing in Final Cut. 2 of them, after 15 years, we got 2 of them all at once, at the same time. So I'm going to have Ian back on to talk about that. He's a good friend of ours, of course. I've been seeing him at every Final Cut Pro Creator Summit since 2016. So
I don't think, is he coming to I hope they have another one.
Well, that's one of the possibilities is they cancel it. I don't think they will because it's the best. It's the best Final Cut Pro Creator Summit, and the one in 2024, everybody was ecstatic about it, including the Final Cut Pro team. They thought that was a great one, and they don't want to have another one that goes down from that one. That's one of the issues. They don't want to just have a mamby-pamby Creative Summit. They want it has to be at least as good as 2024 or better. Because one of the things that they have, and I understand this problem that they have, there's no sense in having a Creative Summit without a major feature update to Final Cut Pro. Okay? You don't have a Creative Summit and there's nothing new to talk about. We did that in 2019. It wasn't very good. So they have to time the Creative Summit with a major feature update to Final Cut Pro. They have to time it with a visit to Cupertino, to the spaceship campus. So I think we're going to see Final Cut Pro 13 with the MFX integration and at the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit. This is what I keep saying and what I'm hoping for. Not
When
the
do you
Apple
think it's
Creative
gonna be?
Studio. Well, I'm hoping they're going to push it back to November because I don't want to go over the summer. I don't want to have one over the summer. The last thing they said was spring of 2016. Well, it's too late for that now. Okay, because you need
2026.
I'm sorry, 2026. That's the last notice. They said it was going to be the spring of 20. They're going to cancel it for 2025. They didn't have it last year, and they're going to have one in the spring of 2026. Well, it's too late. They got to give people at least 60, 90 days advance notice to make preparations. So that's pushing us in the middle of summer at this point into July. So I don't think they're going to have it in July or August. That would be not a good time. Or September, because that's the iPhone announcement. So I'm thinking if they're going to have it in 2026, they're going to push it back to November, which is fine. November was a great month for the Creative Summit. And I've talked to other people that say the same thing, that they don't,
it's a perfect month. As long as it doesn't hit too close to Thanksgiving.
No, it won't. It won't. It'll be the first, second week of November, typically.
One thing that all of the American conferences are up against right now is that our international creators are finding it very expensive to travel. And they're a little bit worried about traveling right now. So we'll see what happens with all of that in the next few months, Right.
But that's still we can have a Creative Summit. We can have one in 2026. If they cancel it again, I've lost interest. If you cancel it for 2 years in a row, I've really lost interest in it at that point. So
I really want to go. And now we know where the cream is for the coffee.
it's not a problem in Cupertino because I walk there. I know where the Target is. It opens, I think, to 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm pretty sure it's the exact same one we went to in 2023. Because I said, oh, wait a minute. There's the milk. There's the cream. And I remembered when we were there. I loved riding in your car with that big iPad.
Screen?
Yeah, but it was 5 years bigger than my iPad. The Tesla was bigger than my iPad. One of the funny things we were coming out of an event at the Creative Summit in 2023, and we went to find your car, and we got to the parking lot, and there was like 12 Teslas that all looked like yours. They were all black. They all looked like yours. You didn't know which one was which. You had to press the button and it said, hello, Cirina. Come on, welcome in. Whatever. And I love the fact that it had cameras everywhere. Not just mirrors, but actual cameras. That was really, really cool.
Yeah. And I don't have self-driving, but you can get self-driving even if you didn't buy it with that. You can get it now for $100 a month. I don't have it, but everybody that has it, there's so many people in my neighborhood that have it. We actually have a Tesla club, believe it or not. And we meet once a month to talk about the new things. But the Tesla, you can tell it where you want to go. It'll go there. It'll take you home and it'll park it in your garage.
It's absolutely incredible. There's two people that are from the future. Steve Jobs was one and Elon Musk is another one. It's like they know things they should not know in 2026. And they're developing products that are from the future. Yeah. They really are. Thank God for both of them. Yeah. For their development. If I get a new car, it's going to be a Tesla. If I right now I don't need it, but if I need it in the future, it'll be a Tesla, self-driving Tesla.
Yeah, that's the way to go. I don't want a gas car ever again. And everybody says, "Oh, you have to charge it." Well, I'm going to get the what do you call it? The thing for the wall in my
Yeah.
garage. But I
Right.
actually like getting out of the house, driving a mile and a
Absolutely.
half, and then I sit in the car, I play music, I answer my emails. It's a break. It forces me to take a break.
Right.
Right now I'm charging it once a week, and for about $40, I can drive for almost 300 miles.
Right. Right. Now, right now, you're doing good with the price of gas. We talked about that earlier on the show. Yeah.
All right. Well, Richard, I'm so happy that you asked me on. And if anybody doesn't have any more questions, I think I'm probably going to say thank you. Have a great Saturday. And I
Absolutely.
value your friendship so much. And everybody, all of our tribe, I call them my peeps, they're invaluable. There's a lot of love there between all of us, and we help each other, and we're there for each other in the good times and the bad times. And that's what's important. So thank you again for having me on.
Absolutely. Jane and I are going up to the Westminster Art and Flower Festival today. It's on Main Street. It's like a mile long, vendors on both sides, bands playing. It's really, really incredible. It's really a big festival. We're going to go up to that. I'm going to film some of that, and at some point I'll put some stuff together.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Jane has an amazing garden. I envy you your tomatoes.
Yeah, we've just started. We filmed this morning of the first video. It's not up yet, but it'll be on her channel, on her Facebook page and YouTube channel and stuff.
All right.
Thank you, Cirina. It's always we always talk anyway, so we figured I might as well bring you on live.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.